Hello, welcome to Rolling Escapades Season 2, Episode 14, Part 1, the series in which 9 dudes to get together, play Dungeons & Dragons, have fun and put it on the internet. Commoners and nobles alike are invited to a party and forced to dance at the whims of a child. We are down in Andrew tonight, so there's only 8 of us, because Andrew is ill, but hopefully next week we'll be back to a full party, but we shall see what happens. As always, our sponsor is Destai, fine makers of chainmail and macrame goodness. Chainmail examples include keyrings, dice bag, other various forms of accessories. Links are in the description. Go click, search, buy and enjoy. You'll also find links to stuff for the artist of this campaign, Christopher Rolls. Done some pretty awesome character art for us. You'll find links to his Facebook page where you can get commissions, and his DMs Guild page where you can find products from him such as Izzy's slightly used airships. Okay. Last session, the Errant Guard finally arrived in the southern village of Doonatel, having dealt with some of the various dangers en route from Jofreim, including animated violets, strange, misty, foggy ruins, and a band of orcs. You delivered the townsfolk that you'd saved from the orcs back to their homes, and then rested up from the night to recover from the week of travel in a saddle. When you awoke, there was a fire and food cooking over the fire, prepared for you by Myre. You briefly spoke to one of the young townsguard to get some information about the orc warband that had been rumoured to be making its way to the eastern village, before you headed into the town proper. You travelled across the turquoise lagoon in a ferry, discovering that the waters provided some healthy benefits to those of you who drank it. And you arrived to find the town ablaze with excitement about the coming celebrations and heavily in preparation for Orlan's 5th birthday.
Not ablaze with fire, just checking.
Yeah, no, not ablaze with fire. Nothing was on fire at that point in time.
I didn't remember anything being on fire.
Not even the fires? Not even the fires?
Foreshadow.
It
Not
would
that
be
point.
ironic if a town situated in the middle of a lake burnt down. I mean, if anywhere shouldn't burn down.
Challenge
And here come dragons.
You spent a few hours running errands. Some of you searching through maps, looking for alchemy supply, talking to the head of the town's guard, before heading towards the festivities for yourself. For the most part, the festivities were uneventful, aside from
the mind rape.
I said for the most part, it was a very small percentage of the actual overall feast. It was just the only bit that was focused on. The things that were particularly strange were meeting Orlan, because he had deep magenta eyes, which do not match the eyes of his parents, or his parents' grandparents, or great-grandparents, or anything.
What
All
colour were
like
they?
basically anyone you've ever met.
What colour were they?
Deep magenta.
Is this suspiciously like the magic from the Myre?
It's a different colour.
How close is it?
Not very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different colour eyes aren't so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Myre is pink
Alright.
rather than purple.
So magenta is pinky purple.
It's a very
Pink.
no. It's a very vibrant purple.
Alright.
And those of you with arcane magic sensed a sort of fuzzy buzzing sensation around Orlan when talking to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which for most of you was one of the most powerful sensations any of you have ever felt. He turned 5. He turned 5. During the after the feast, Orlan revealed that he is able to use incredibly powerful magic, casting a mass suggestion spell on the Errant Guard, except for Icarus and Eldoran, and a couple of other random people in the crowd, asking for them all to dance. which they did.
Not all of us.
Someone passed.
Well, yeah. Shader's the only person who didn't fail that save, if I remember correctly.
You might double even
Yes.
advantage.
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't a load easy.
This angered Throndraek and caused him to pull out his great axe and stand on the table. And then Orlan sort of helped calm the situation a little bit, and then later on came over to apologise, explaining that it had been his idea of a joke, but it just a prank. Yeah. He is a 5-year-old card. He also revealed that he has the ability to cast a spell telekinesis as he was picking up and moving objects around. He cast both spells without using any components, he just cast them.
Yeah, he doesn't need to wield the sword I gave him, he just flings it.
Whips it back and forth, yeah.
Flings it around. Someone's driving a lawnmower.
Eventually,
No, lawnmowers have more cylinders than that.
you all headed to bed, and having enjoyed the festivities and woke up in the morning to come down for breakfast. So, Lauren, Adon, I believe you quickly wanted to do a conversation before going to bed.
No.
Skip.
It's a bedtime story, that's what you want me to do, right?
Okay, you had a conversation. It was with your, if I remember correctly, it was
Yeah.
your wife?
Yeah.
Okay. You spoke to her about getting your son trained and some stuff like that. Okay, so it is Water Day, the 7th of Mu Passis. You are all eating breakfast. There's bread, there is ale, water, coffee, bacon, all the things you need to help cure a hangover. Nothing is really going to happen for the next few days, so you have until the 16th. 16th? Yes, the 16th, when there is a celebration of the end of the war. It's the 7th right now, yes. You have 9 days, including today, in which to do stuff.
Okay.
So,
with tags, I like it. But the way you want it.
first and foremost, whilst you guys are all having breakfast, Syllin, the high elf head of the town's guard, will come over to where you guys are eating in the Skylark residence. Not uncommon for him to do, but he specifically has come to you guys. Says, so I know Parr and my lord, you were asking about the orc warband in camp and whatnot. I'm sending out some scouts today in that area. They're a group of 3. They're pretty reliable. I thought it might be prudent to ask if you wish to accompany them to have a look for yourselves.
You know, I was literally about to ask if I could, so clearly our goals are in line there.
Will all of you be going, or just some of you?
Any that wish to join?
Sure. Sorry, what?
Why not? I bumped into them before.
I was going to ask if you would come. I thought your experience would be helpful there. We're going to look for orcs.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. Pass.
Very.
I have some research I need to do.
Very well.
When are you leaving?
They're ready to go whenever you are.
Time to put on the mask, and I'll put on my all theatrical at the table.
Liam,
Hey.
can we get him a wooden mask that when he puts on, he ends up in a yellow suit?
Yes.
Smoking!
Yes. Does he have a dog?
He loses some wisdom, but
does he have a dog?
Gains charisma.
He gains all of the charisma.
It's just a white mask.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, it's just a white mask.
Does it look like a face, or is it just like a white circular disc?
There is-
like a paper plate with eyes jabbed in it.
That's now canon.
The budget was low.
you got one of the cheap ones. Never really made it past quality control, but they weren't going to give you a proper one. They just wanted to make you feel like you
it's an
achieved
entry-level
something.
mask.
They
I get,
cut they cut holes in with a knife and just drew a mouth. You know, just like I get the plastic bag for the head.
Yes.
No, it does have a face on it.
You got a half brown paper bag, but because like you can't go out use that one in the rain. It's terrible.
And this is a very stormy country.
Yeah.
Never
It
been
is.
trouble
It
with
is.
plastic bags.
No, it is naturally.
Awesome jets.
I think I will quickly, before heading out with these scouts, change armour. So I'm now wearing my studded leather instead.
I am going to ask Eldoran if I can have access to his family's library.
Oh, I was going to say anyone that doesn't come with us has got free run of the city.
Yeah.
Town.
You were told the day before, actually, by Eldoran's brother that you guys can essentially, if you can, you're welcome anywhere. If you need help, he can have someone travel around with you to get you to the places you need to go. So, you're going library. Icarus is going to go read a book in his room.
How long is it going to take for scouting?
The orc camp is a few days out, or was a few days out. The scouts are planning on staying out for a week, but you don't have to accompany them the full duration. 2 days there, 2 days back.
I'll come.
Wonderful. And I'll go tell them to meet you outside in, say, 30 minutes. Perfect. He walks off. Cool. You guys finish eating. You will ask for someone to guide you towards the library, and you have access to the library. Icarus goes and reads a book in his room. The rest of you head outside. There are 3 people sort of just hanging around outside the Skylark residence that are evidently scouts of some sort. They're all wearing studded leather armour. There's a female human, a male human, and a female dwarf. The male human and the dwarf have both got short bows and short swords. The female human has a long bow and a rapier. As you guys sort of clock them and start making your way over, it's the female human who walks out towards you. Morning. I'm Syra. That's Centis. She points at the male human, and that's Kostrina. She points at the dwarf. We're scouting. I'm in charge, for the most part. I mean, obviously, if my lord asks for
that's not in
something,
character,
then
no.
I'm going to do what he says, but...
Weirdly, if I am going to offer, do they want to take the bag of tricks?
No.
I don't know
Nah.
if they would.
Nah,
Cool.
definitely don't need any more reinforcements. Don't run away.
Yeah, it also allows you to summon things that could smell out trails and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably do it on his own, but
Smell out
Yeah,
trails.
like go down to all fours. Like,
He goes into downward dog
Wait,
and
wouldn't be the all fours be me?
it's not full moon yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But give it a couple of days. Couple of weeks, but... right. Good to head off?
ready.
I just shoved the rest of my breakfast into my mouth
Yeah.
and stand up. Start as we were brushing my beard.
Very Throndraek. As we're heading out, I want to try and grab a servant because I want to have go to the temple and get a acolyte or something to go over.
Yeah. That's cool. They'll run over. You'll tell them to mention at the temple that Byrol has broken ribs, and is currently in her house
Requiring treatment.
under heavy anaesthetic. Just pass the fuck out. Yeah. So that's fine. Yeah, they'll run over someone over to the temple and send them across.
Which is nice.
Cool. So, you guys head out towards the eastern side of the town. It was the eastern village that was under attack. That was, or looked like to be under attack, being the closest point to the Orcs. You travel across the Turquoise Lagoon. Similar, it's the same sort of setup as it was at the southern village. Is anyone drinking the water?
Knowing that I know what it does.
Sure.
Cool. So, just a reminder for people.
10 temporary hit points and something else and something else.
Yep. Let me just double check.
Oh yeah.
Potion of vitality.
Yeah.
Yes, you get a potion of heroism for 8 hours, an elixir of health, and a potion of vitality.
Pretty good stuff.
And you're telling me that no one has ever taken a piss off the boat into this water? Like, are you sure? 100%?
It wouldn't matter, it's magical. Also, there are fish.
And it's now magical piss.
Yeah, there's fish. The fish shit in the water and it's still fine.
Cool.
Oh, I'm going to just ignore the magical turquoise lagoon.
Cool.
I'm just going to hold off and drink from the font.
I'm pretty sure the only thing people have said is drink the water, it's good.
That's true.
That
Yeah.
is like
You don't.
pretty much the extent of it.
Cool.
Yep.
The 3 scouts will.
Fan?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I shall as well.
Thank you.
Cool. So, takes about half an hour to get over the lake. I'm good. You arrive in the eastern village. Even just upon arrival, you can easily tell it has not come under attack at any point. There's no damaged buildings. There's no bodies being sorted out, piled up in the corner or anything. You know, people would clear it out quickly, but it's too clean, too tidy for it to have happened like 4 days ago. Which Syra does sort of explain that, yeah, the rumours were there. They saw the Orcs. They looked like they were coming in this direction, but they never actually reached the town at some point. The place she's leading you to is where they just sort of stopped, and then disappeared. Yeah, so she leads you out. They are travelling by foot rather than horseback, because it is easier to move quietly without horses, even if it's slower. But you get the sense that all 3 of them are very, very light on their feet. You travel out for a couple of days before you come to... It doesn't have to really be pointed out to any of you that this is a place where a large group of people made camp. It is, the ground has no grass on it. It is torn up and muddied. There are still old signs of campfire circles and stuff like that. And Syra goes like, "Well, this is where we last saw them. Obviously they're not here anymore, but we're going to go keep doing our rounds, keep an eye on the Myre, and leave you to do what you want to do."
They certainly weren't trying to hide themselves, were they?
No.
Well, thank you for your assistance.
Enjoy. And the 3 of them just go heading off. So you are standing at the edge of like a up thing. It's a good like couple of 100 feet long, couple of 100 feet deep of heavy amounts of movement.
I'm just envisioning download when it's rained.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's like on a tent somewhere with the hobgoblins still in, like crawls out, like, oh shit, crawls back in, like.
You just hear a load of beer cans get knocked over.
Shit.
You drink it.
I suppose they are not covering their tracks if they're happy to leave behind all these fire marks and turf grass. It should be simple for us to just carry on and follow where they've gone.
Well, they said they followed the tracks back east into the Myre.
Well, through the mile we go, I suppose.
Well,
We only have to find where they're camping. We don't necessarily have to kill all of them.
You've been in there, right?
I have, yeah.
Oh, that's good enough for me.
yeah, what should we expect? Yes.
The problem with the Myre is you don't really know what to expect going into it. Last time it was Nothics and it was hobgoblins, and I was expecting a lot less than 50,000 hobgoblins.
No one ever expects 50,000 hobgoblins.
So
I
you know,
can't count that many fingers, Throndraek.
No one expects a Spanish Inquisition.
you know, there are some creatures
Yes,
there
that
I
is
couldn't even
exactly
describe,
what
but I probably don't need to even start on the mythical creatures. Let's just scout the Myre a little bit and turn back when it looks too treacherous.
Okay, well, would you take the lead as you have the most experience?
Absolutely. And yeah, I'll start see if I can find the edge of the tracks.
Yep.
I will help.
Marching tracks out of the camp and towards the Myre.
Go for it. Make a survival check for me. Make it with advantage because Parr is helping you.
There you go.
That's a bit better. So 21 in total.
That's what you get.
There is swamp gas.
You're not even at the Myre yet.
It's a really big swamp gas.
That's very
You can
potent.
hear it from miles away.
Sorry, excuse me.
So we did shove your brothers down here.
Yeah.
That was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That's really
Holding that one
repeating.
in.
That's really built up.
I just make that noise and go. Button.
Okay. So it's not difficult to find the tracks. It's just a bunch. There's a lot of mud. Although it's been raining heavily, it's very easy to see where our army has marched because there's no grass.
I was going to ask, are the tracks sort of like, can we tell if they were marching in formation or just walking?
They were marching in formation.
Okay.
They were marching in formation, rank and file, and additionally, they have marched in. They've marched in from the west, in from the east, and headed back in the exact same direction. Just looking at the tracks, they travelled west and then travelled east. They literally have moved to this point and then gone back. You also notice amongst tracks mostly orcs, almost entirely orcs. But the other thing you do spot is odd sort of claw marks sort of things, which easy for you to recognise because you saw these sort of markings when you fought the orcs before. There are signs of giant bats having taken off and landed.
It's okay, it can't be a TPK, you're not here.
We'll have 3 frontliners left.
Yeah.
The most squishiest people. But you're not that squishy, you have a amulet. You'll be the
He
tank for
just
them.
falls over if he walks into an anti-magic field.
I'm sure the town guard will help us by being glorious meat shields after drinking from all that water.
I mean, it would like double the health.
That's why I said they'd be glorious ones rather than just
Yeah,
normal ones.
it would double their health. So yeah, so that's what you have found. There's a lot of. It's hard to get a judge of actual number because again, like it's really strange they've marched in rank and file. They have marched in each other's steps. Yes.
Are they easily frightened and will they return in greater numbers?
No and yes.
Yeah.
Very much yes.
I wonder why they turned back from their original camp and headed the same direction.
Why are they marching in rank and file? They're orcs. They're not that organised.
But why come here and then go?
Was their objective at that campsite? It's too large a number to be a simple patrol.
The only horse I've fought only care about chopping your head off.
Same.
How far south were the ones that we engaged with?
A few days out.
There have been angles maybe like 3 or 4 days south.
So 100 or so miles. No, 70 miles.
Yeah. Obviously, that's travelling on foot.
They were all bad.
Yeah, but if it's days, it's 24 miles.
From the campsite, if I'd have turned around to see where we'd come from, how good of a view would I have had of the lake and the surrounding villages?
It's not a massively good view.
Okay.
Right, like you can see the lake, because in fact you probably ought to know it's on the way here. During the day, when you turn around and look at it, it glistens, like it properly shines. You didn't notice because you arrived at night, but it is a very obvious landmark, which also, but it's not a blinding light, so it's easy to see the town on the island in the centre.
But it's not. The campsite wasn't like on a hill, so you had like a nice viewpoint.
No, it was not. You can make out the walls of the town, and you can make out the eastern village buildings just.
Okay.
Apart from Throndraek, who's looking at me like,
I can see
I
them
can
in
see
your
them.
window.
Just go.
That was the bathroom. That was the bathroom.
Just that.
Put some clothes on.
Hello, Lady Skylark.
which one?
Hey!
Do you want to get smited? Because that's how you get
There
smited.
are at least 2 there at the moment.
How was I supposed to know? I was a mile away.
You've got your weird eyes.
So should we make our way to the Myre then? See what they're up to.
Which direction did that rider fly off when we didn't?
He flew off in a northeast direction.
So he's reconvening with the rest of them.
Yep, because where you encountered them, you were roughly southwest of the Myre. Okay.
I'm wondering whether or not that rider met up with them here and then they moved, or they moved before he made it back.
I mean, either way, I think it's safe to say that he's with them.
The bats would suggest it, yes. We've never heard of orcs using giant bats before.
There's a lot about this I've never heard the orcs doing before.
I've never seen a human orc before.
Very good point.
It's called a half orc. You can hear Shamshir call from the distance as he's like looking
A
around.
what?
Well, yeah, but these were orcs trying to be humans.
Oh no, I'm not some kind of orc scientist. From the back, still like looking around.
That's an oxymoron, I'm sure of it.
Oh, wow.
An oxymoron.
Get out.
Rocks fall, he dies.
I
Yeah.
thought that was quite good.
Bookshelf.
The bookshelf comes alive, it's a mimic.
I thought that was
Oh,
quite a
did I
good one.
forget to
All
tell
the
you
books are
about
about rocks.
No, I don't regret that. I thought that was a good joke. Screw you all.
I mean, you should have heard the puns I was making last week. They were even worse.
Last week was a bad week for
I mean,
puns.
Yeah, I'm going to be following
Brilliant.
Shamshir because I assume he's making his way to the Myre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's following the trails. I mean, they're not difficult to follow, as I said. It's just that he has spotted some particularly interesting points.
Let me know if there's a point where we want to be quiet and stuff up. I can help out with that.
Cool.
Not yet, but I'm assuming so.
So, you guys continue to head east. Yeah. You head east for about another day and a half before you become very, very easily aware that you are crossing into the Myre. the ground takes on a sort of soft, spongy, squishy sensation. And as that starts to happen, you notice that the area, the sky, the horizon sort of takes on this very vague pink hue.
Oh no.
So yeah, as you look, you can sort of look around. If you look behind you, it's not pink, and then as you look like into the mire, it gets deeper and deeper. Makes it very hard to see what's in front of you. It's just essentially reaches this point where there's just this very deep, potent pink colour blocking your view, as it were.
And we've entered this like mist.
You're not in a mist. There's just this strange pink hue.
Oh,
Shamshir.
so there's not a mist, but you can't see through it. Sorry.
That's
Yeah, it's
Okay.
How far did you go into this? You said you've been here before.
Well, the Myre is quite large and stretches across quite some distance. I think I was in a slightly different part of the Myre before.
you were around the other side. Yeah. And you weren't very far in. I think you were maybe half a mile or so inside.
But I can say for sure that the pink hue was on the other side just as much as it is here, probably due to the massive magical disaster that took place here.
And the orcs you saw, do you know where they went? Where they're camping?
Well, on the other side of the Myre, I might have a good idea, but I mean, they could be in any region between there and here if they're on the other side.
So you were on the northern side?
You guys have entered the
No,
western
no,
side
no,
of the.
no. When he saw the orcs the last time he saw orcs going into
Yeah,
the mine.
eastern. Here's the eastern side, because you guys have entered the western side of the fire.
It's possible there's either a lot of orcs or they're using it as some kind of really cool base to strike out from.
Does that mean they crossed the river?
I think it would.
Is there like a big river going down the middle of the Myre?
There was the human fort that existed. That is the sort of focal point of the Myre. Red River Fort, if I remember correctly, next to the Red River. There was a river running through it. Nobody has gone deep enough to confirm that a river still exists. It's often deemed unnecessarily dangerous. But assuming it does, then yes, the orcs have found a way of fording a river in the epicenter of a magical fallout.
Tailspawn.
So, you found the orc camp on the other side of the Myre. How far in was that?
No, I simply saw them marching on the other side of the Myre.
Oh,
In
you
or
didn't
out?
You didn't follow them then?
Followed them for a little while, but there were a heck of a lot of them and there was only me.
Did you see them marching in or out?
I'm pretty sure it was going in further to the Myre.
Okay. So, do we want to be optimistic and say it's just the one, I'm not going to call them a warband anymore, a regiment, just the one regiment that's going in and out and doing its scouting runs for whatever purpose, or do we want to be pessimistic and say this is a larger battalion with multiple regiments?
I think we have a responsibility to go further in and find out which is the correct answer there. We don't have to solve the problem, I think we just need to see a rough number, maybe where their base is, and then tell the council and get them to do something about it, which may or may not involve sending us back into the Myre.
I think we
Wonderful, I can't wait.
I think we need to find the problem, then become the solution to it, yes.
You
Because
still-
that will almost certainly
You
happen.
seem a bit off about it. Oh.
I've heard stories of what goes on in this place. I don't want to spend any more time in here than we have to.
I agree, but 50,000 orcs hanging out here worries me deeply.
Well, let's hurry up and find them then. You've still got the tracks.
Yeah.
Tracks are
No.
probably more obvious
I'm
than
pretty
Myre.
sure.
Quarter of a mile.
They're actually less obvious. because magic, yo. But Shamshir had rolled high enough that he was able to maintain the tracking. It's the ground you're walking through at the moment is mostly just sort of spongy unpleasantness. But you do start, as you head further in, you do start to come to like pools of possibly water. You're not sure because it's pink.
Stagnant
Can we
liquid.
drink this as well?
No, trust me, this is not strawberry milkshake.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Sight.
The whatchamacallit thingy,
That's descriptive.
Blood Hunter, Hunter's Bane thing.
Yeah.
It'll be phase that I'm tracking.
Okay, you're tracking Faye right now. Cool. Okay.
The Fae or daintily beheads you.
You are able to work out that the water is not safe because the first sort of pool you'll come across, you will see an orc or what might have been an orc sort of floating inside it. But the orc has got, like, from its face, small, maybe like inch long tentacles have sort of just grown out of its face. It's the corpse's eyes are open, and there is just nothing there. It's not that the eyes are missing. There is just, you're just looking into nothingness. It's just pitch darkness where his eyes once were.
Good luck against the orc zombie.
And you can see that sort of the bank around the water. There's a section where it's partially collapsed. You get the sense that what happened is as the orc was walking around, the bank collapsed and he fell in, and then didn't get back out.
Well, I think that answers the question about that. There are orcs, and we don't want to go near anything pink.
I mean, I'm not good with all this kind of stuff, but do you think it's worth taking it back to Icarus? He seems to know that.
He'll probably try to drink it or something. It's probably best we just leave it.
Were you just drinking the liquid or the orc?
Because he's alchemist.
Yeah.
I mean, a bottle of that water might not be the worst idea in the world. I'm slightly worried right now.
We all do recall this is the same Icarus that paralyzed himself twice with that spider, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What could be safer than giving that to a mage that blows himself up on occasion? But what I'm slightly worried about now is, do we know he's dead? How do we know he's not going to start getting up and
Like,
walking around
is there
and
a
growing
rock?
tendrils and
Yeah,
God knows
Yeah,
what?
you could find a rock, throw a rock at him.
At him.
Yeah, the rock hits him. You're pretty sure it hits him. There's no impact sound.
Great.
Not even a
It's sort of-
splash afterwards.
No, it just sort of passes through him.
Well, that's not at all worrying.
It
Can
looked like it.
Wait, you just pick a rock from
But-
the ground.
Yeah.
I will pick up a throwing star.
Yeah,
And it's on me, and I will
Just there is though you do see ripples
Okay, so
through
there's
the
evidence
weird
of
pink liquid. Yeah,
stone
I
water.
will throw my throwing star.
you throw a throwing star at the orc. Cool. You hit.
Okay.
There's no impact sound. It just straight through it. More ripples.
Thank you for that.
I mean, it's not moving after that.
Well, I guess today's bath day anyway.
Not in
Not
here.
here.
We have baths.
You do notice the little tentacles sort of start swirling and waving around,
Okay, let's move.
but the actual corpse isn't doing anything.
Good.
Let's not jab it with a stick or anything, folks. Let's keep going.
Yes. Before we get pulled in ourselves.
I mean, I'm gonna make a point of like following the same path that Shamshir follows.
That's probably a very good idea.
Are we going to be quiet now?
Sure.
Well,
I know that there's no like bird sounds or anything.
There isn't.
But are like our footsteps muted at all, or
Your footsteps are fairly muted. Yeah, I mean there are sounds, but it's sort of like the sounds
you've got,
are
like blocked ears or something?
yeah, you're sort of muffled, but also it's not birds. You hear like croaks, but they're not quite croaks.
Mhm.
There's sort of screeches that aren't quite screeches. It's just you're hearing sounds, but the sounds are wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong with the noises that you are hearing.
How well can we hear each other talk?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
I think possibly the deadening of the air will cover us for now.
There is also you will know because it's easily available. The Myre itself, you know, if you were to go from the eastern side to the western side, it would take you about 2 days travel. It is a massive swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So if something's bang in the centre,
The day's travel.
you're gonna be looking at it. You're gonna be travelling for a while.
And what time of day is it right now?
It's about a day and a half, so it's about midday.
Can we see the sun, clouds, whatever above us, or is that
You look up and you see pink.
Yeah,
So it's pacing. Cool.
but we can see, but it's like the light's getting through, but it's just
It's just lit.
interesting.
Right. No.
Should we make our way in then?
We should, and as we go, we should also make sure we can make a mental note as to any area we think might be safe to set up camp, in case we ever do need to double back on ourselves to find a more reliable place to stay.
Yeah, alright.
Yes.
My eyes don't help at all with this pink. I can't see further than them. Or
No,
okay.
no. I mean, well, to an extent you can.
See the pig really close.
It reaches a certain distance where you just can't see through it anymore.
Yeah.
But up until that point, your eyes still do see sharper. You can pick up more things in front than they can.
Okay. I mean, as we're walking through, can I look for somewhere that might be suitable then that
Yeah.
we're not going to sink into? I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead and make a perception check as you're just looking around, see if you spot anywhere sort of safe to stay.
Ooh. That's a 23.
23. Okay. Yeah, you as you're making where you spot, there's a few places. For the most part, you're looking for things that aren't next to pink, watery type stuff. They're just large flatlands. There are some things that might be trees, might not be trees. It's hard to tell. I mean, at first glance they look like trees, and then you sort of look again, and they look like they might be just like hands that have crawled out, but massive hands that have sort of crawled out. Gnarly as fuck, and then you look again, and they're trees again.
Okay. I mean, as we're going through, as I see in these places, then I'm just going to be, every time I see one, I'm just going to like tap Shamshir and like, there's another one over there. If you can find your way back here, I don't know. Like, just let you know all the different places
Yeah,
I've
like-
found, like, how long far that way, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we found one spot all the way back there. It's
Yeah.
like, there's one, there's one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Teamwork.
Does it seem so? As we get by, as we're walking further and further, does the mist getting denser and denser?
Yep.
Cool. May I suggest that we somehow tie a rope between all four of us, so in case something happens, we can't see the country.
That works spectacularly. Last time.
All five guys, right?
You?
In this campaign.
I think it was. We tied a rope to someone, and I basically threw them around. That was you. Okay.
So getting tactically quiet, man.
When was this?
He doesn't want it to happen again, that's why.
Well, I mean, sure, I would like to be pulled out of
That,
the pimp
yes.
liquid if I did have to fall in, so
Yeah.
why not? It's a sound suggestion.
Indeed, go for that one. I've got one length of rope.
Rope as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if
you-
I do fall in and have tentacles all over my face, just kill me swiftly.
All right.
Done.
How would
Okay.
you like to be buried?
No, I'm fine. Under a big pile of money and more money.
So you're a dragon. Good.
They're usually on the planet.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they're in it.
Okay,
He's
so
a dead dragon.
No.
so you tie a rope between the five of you. You're all connected. You've got enough rope to do
I
that.
mean, I don't have a rope.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Everyone else does. And they're 50 foot each, so they do.
Yeah.
Cool. You continue to make your way in. It's a very strange thing making your way further in. That the deeper in you get, the less you can see. Even when you turn around and look back, it is whatever the pink hue is that blocks vision. It is not a distance thing. It is not a density thing. It seems to just be. It's based on your distance in sight. How far into the mire you yourself are is how dense the hue is.
Can we still see each other?
You can see each other. It's not that dense.
Okay.
It's probably at this point because you're still quite far outside. It's blocking probably about 150 foot is what you can see. But yeah, just past that it's just pink. And you are starting to see sort of ahead of you occasionally little white specks just through the air.
At this point, I'm going to have like my head on a swivel, just looking out for anything that could possibly resemble a tentacle.
We've not seen any other. That's not what I was trying to do. Thank you. Any other corpses or anything?
Nothing like that one. It's at this point you are passing. You see a very large plant, as in think little shop of horrors, a plant, that sort of thing. That is, yeah, Jumanji, massive plant that you can see an orc arm on the floor next to it, but it is definitely closed, and definitely there's nothing's alive in it, but it is definitely like pulsing or doing something.
The arm, is it orcish?
It's an orc arm.
Yeah.
It is an orc arm.
No, we don't need to check this
Orc,
time.
orc check. So yeah, and then look
What's
at,
how much order, by the way?
huh?
What's how much order?
I'd assume I'd go in the middle for.
I'm thinking I'll be up in front with him because I'm helping him with the tracks.
Yeah, so if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sounds good.
Just because then I've got more of a chance of giving everyone
Yes.
saving bonuses.
Yeah.
Just so I know who I'm attached to.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So did you say the plant's pulsing?
Yeah.
What we could swing around.
Is it the whole thing is pulsing, or it's like travelling along it?
Just like the plant. It's hard to see. You don't see like a stem or anything like that. It is on the floor.
You've just got like a.
Yeah,
thing.
but it's
Okay.
shut, and you can see it sort of like.
Oh right, so it's like pulsating, right?
Yeah,
I get you.
Digesting the bastard.
Yeah.
Exit.
And looking past that, you spot that one, and then look past that, you see maybe another like 15 or so that have got that are doing the same thing.
Are they going in the same direction we are, or are they?
No, they're sort of like
Off to
parallel
the
to
side.
you. Yeah.
And do the tracks go that way, Shamshir, or are we still on them?
We're still following the tracks.
Yes.
Looks like a few stragglers didn't follow the orders or have been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
maybe this is just their natural state.
Yeah. Well, it's also there were a lot of orcs marching in and out, so you guys are sort of somewhere near the center to keep track of.
Yeah.
So it would have spread out quite far along. So this is quite possibly an expected result.
Acceptable casualties.
Yeah. So yeah.
About roughly guess how far have we travelled at this point?
You travelled for probably at this point. You probably travelled for a couple of hours. So you made some decent headway inside it. But you are like the more you're following, the more since you get they are heading straight to the center, and you are, you're still most of a day's worth of journey outside of the center.
It's difficult to walk through because you like sinking in every time you take a footstep, or
It's
is
at
Shamshir
this-
taking us on a route that's not difficult?
At this point, initially you was able to avoid most of the difficulties. Is what you're starting to find it difficult to walk.
Okay.
The ground is soft and smudgy, and even as you're walking, you are leaving. It's not like immediately refilling. Footprints are remaining for like sort of 10 or so seconds before they. But it's not even like they fill. It's sort of the ground sort of inflates back up.
If they feel to be a lot more dangerous.
Yes.
It is mud.
Maybe.
Lick it. I just poke it with a sword.
I mean, it sort of looks like mud. It doesn't feel like mud.
If I go like that, try and
You
sort
could
of
you could
scoop
scour a
it.
line through it. Yeah.
Okay. It acts like a sponge, but it also acts like mud.
That's because we're walking on cake right now.
Cake is a lie.
Myre cake.
The pink is the jam. Oh, it's the icing. God damn it!
It's just a real extreme case of cake or death.
I think this might be cake and death.
The round cake.
Judgments of death. We're surrounded by death.
Do I feel trapped?
Do you?
That's
It's
what I'm
open.
wondering.
It's open air. It's not. You don't feel like anything's. There's a pressure there. You are all sort of starting to feel like a pressure that isn't normal of air, but it's not intense. It's not a blocked in. It's just a. It's more akin to essentially like permanent static, but not anywhere near as sharp as a static shock. It's just highly intense magic.
Okay.
You do hear a different sound at this point, though, coming from maybe somewhere in front of you, might be somewhere behind you, because as you're listening, sound doesn't work the same way, and there's this sort of weird like sound.
Excellent.
What direction?
Yeah,
Yes.
No.
We just hear it.
I think we should.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm gonna look around for it.
Yeah.
I'm also looking for.
On a
any
divine
potentials.
sense.
Go ahead and make perception checks.
Make sure it's not like in the sky above us. We've got to like
Oh, thanks with something.
swoop down and
There are no celestial fiends or undead within 60 feet of you. Interestingly, though, the Myre itself seems to be both consecrated and desecrated ground at the same time.
Well, I wasn't aware you could do that.
Do what? What?
Well, we appear to be on both hallowed and desecrated ground
What? At the same time?
at the same time.
What's that?
Abnormal.
That
To say
shouldn't
the
be.
least.
That's not possible. What?
Perception checks.
15.
15.
12.
12.
24.
24.
oh, nice. Mine is 22.
22. Okay. Looking around, you two don't see anything
No.
or notice anything. You just hear this sound, which you hear it. It's loud, and then it's suddenly very quiet, and then it's louder, and then it's somewhere between the two, and then it's quieter again. Not quite. It's just it seems to just be
Oscillating.
yeah. It's hard to tell how
So
far away it
is
is.
it both oscillating in like volume and sort of location?
Yeah.
Spatial.
Yeah.
Is this something that seems similar to stuff that I've had in like my dreams and shit?
No.
Because obviously I could see shit or
Yeah. No.
tell sound.
Nothing like that. But you two are aware enough. Shamshir, probably because you've been here before and you get an idea of what you're looking for, and Shay, just because you're on edge.
Wednesday not.
It's not
You see, you sort of spot a creature. It's hard to tell that it was a creature, because it sort of looks like parts of the undergrowth, as it's moving. But it doesn't once you've spotted it. But it's not a creature that makes sense to you. Like you're looking at something. There's definitely a torso. There's a body, but there's no other thing that makes sense. There's an eye in the center of its torso, as it's sort of shambling around. There's an eye on what might have been a left shoulder. There's an eye on a knee.
It's a monstrosity of some sort.
Yeah, it's monstrosity. There's a massive. It's dragging behind it like a 6 foot long claw. That's sort of one arm, and then the other side is this very small, like
T-Rex
foot
hand type
tentacle
thing.
type thing.
What's that?
And then it's got it. You hear the sound again, and you watch as sort of its torso splits down the middle, and a row of teeth appear, and it makes this very unpleasant sound.
Is it anything similar to the creature I first saw?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks very similar to the creature that you previously saw in the Myre. Yes. Which at this point, I would like you two to make charisma saving throw, please.
Plus 3.
Yeah, boy. You've never.
Plus 3.
Did you get a
Plus
Plus an
5?
extra 3.
Did you roll a 5?
No,
Oh, this
nearly.
is your best save.
Was it
as well.
under a 5?
But you get plus 3 to it.
That's like, it's like a net +2. Shamshir's just
Oh,
going
It's
around.
the bard dice, so
I mean,
I had to roll bard for
You're
charisma.
rolling
Channeling
the
charisma
pink
again.
die in the pink place.
It's not the worst idea in the world.
So that would be what?
Oh, good.
That would be 11
11.
Nice.
after
This is
that.
going to be a
but plus
big fat
3.
fail.
So what?
14.
Charisma save. Well, I'm not proficient in them.
No, mine's 2 charisma.
Oh dear.
But he gets plus 3.
So that's a 14,
Fail. That's an
8.
an 8. Okay, cool.
Charismatic.
Uh-oh.
You get plus 3 in your saves.
My source is behind it.
Well done, Mum, make it out alive.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. We're alright.
Cool. Can you both roll a d10 for me, please?
Oh, ripperoni.
Oh,
Actually, no. Scratch that. A
That's
d8. Just a d8.
even worse. Now there's less leeway for
7.
like, extremely bad to extremely good. And it's all bad 3. It's not 5.
I don't
Okay.
know what it's gonna be.
You've got the opposite end of the things. He's got 7, he's got 3.
The one day you
Okay.
don't have 5.
7. So, what was the order? It was those two.
He's at the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And he's at the front.
I would
Which is
like
great.
you to make an attack roll with your quarterstaff, please.
Fuck. Who are you bonking on the bum?
He's
Is
right
he
there.
next? Oh boy!
You're going to hit before you can rage again.
No, you're not.
Oh, cool.
Might not be.
Uh,
No, you're not. I think he's +9, don't you?
13?
Doesn't.
Cool.
But it might hit. But
Bonk on the bum.
Throndraek, you suddenly feel the crack of Shade's quarterstaff across your back as you just. Shamshir, you rolled. Shamshir stops walking and just sort of goes
Rip.
into the air.
Why have you stopped? Why have you stopped?
That's not good.
what have you seen?
You can actually answer that question.
Yeah.
Like,
You're completely zoned out.
oh, really?
You're when Throndraek turns to look at you, you are also like, but you've just done that. Your face and eyes are completely glazed over.
I'm gonna grapple him.
Go for it. It's not difficult. He's not resisting.
Not doing anything.
Cool.
You just grab him. Yeah.
Oh, grab him. We're backtracking.
Pull Shamshir.
Backtrack.
Retreat.
Yep. You start making your way back.
Okay, yeah.
Let's
Push
go.
him as-
Yeah.
Shove. Sorry, I'll do the shove.
It's whatever. It's easy
Wait,
enough.
should we just go for?
It's easy enough. You guys could just pick them up and move them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you have nothing on you.
Yeah, you're on my shoulder.
And I'm
sure.
light.
Both of you make another charisma saving throw, please.
That was.
Oh, good.
That's plus.
Like 6. Okay.
Plus
8.
1. Plus 1.
Yeah.
Nice and in the middle.
Roll a 6 on the d8.
Oh, well, a D8 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost. It almost sounds like a spell I know.
8.
What did you roll on the
Okay.
this time?
You zone out. You're completely.
Oh, who do I get to attack?
Yours actually stays at what you are. You continue to just be. So you're not just randomly striking each other. So now you two are just going to maintain that for the time being. Just
Cool.
completely.
Right. It's on the other side there, Ivan.
Are they being followed?
They haven't seen the creature. They don't know.
Excellent.
Don't know where we can.
But
Go back to where we came.
the weird sound does just stop as you make your way back.
Do you remember where one of those
Yeah.
safe spots were?
No. And then Shamshir, remember.
Shit.
I mean, I can try to.
That's
I
right.
can't.
As you're backtracking, and then when the sound stops, about 6 seconds later, they both go. "Ugh."
Hey, it's that creature I saw before.
I'm just like, you're looking at my arse right now.
Yeah.
That's a fine ass.
I've probably got your monster staff or
Yeah,
something.
but I'm like-
That's the ass of the Errant Guard right there.
Let me smack that booty.
You already did.
That's what you do. You know, on the shoulders hit me.
Yeah. So you two are in a completely.
How I feel about this?
You two are in a completely different location to where you remember, and that creature. You point. The creature's not there, and the sound is gone.
Can I be put down, please?
Oh.
What creature?
Nobody move. I think it's gone invisible.
What?
What does it do? That looked horrific.
What does what do? You
Well-
tap me and then.
Oh no, I just saw something with eyes here
So-
and things and a mouth opened and stomach. Or what would be its stomach? Oh, thanks.
It's kind of ironic, and nobody panic. But the creature I said earlier on that I wouldn't describe to you, that was it. I didn't want to alarm you because it's pretty fucking freaky.
Mm.
Well, it seems to
Where
have set
are
you
we?
both insane.
Well,
Are we still on the path?
I
Yes,
don't know.
Yes,
Okay,
we
yes,
just
we
moved
are.
back a bit.
I think we
60
followed
foot
the way
back.
we came.
Jesus
Did
Christ.
they
that's
follow-
miles
I mean,
away.
I was at the back, so I was
You went back more
I
or
was
less
trying
the
to
same.
backtrack the
Yeah.
way, but
It's fine.
As best as you can when you're not really paying attention to the path.
I mean, I was looking for spots to sleep rather than the
Yeah.
path that we're walking on.
Yeah. No, you backtracked best you can tell.
Mm.
Which,
Okay, so
Rope just dragged me.
what was it? Do you know?
No.
Does it sound like
It
anything
was some
I've...
kind of crazy mild creature.
Okay.
It's like an amalgamation of limbs and arms and screaming tentacles.
So this is not
The
thing
last
you...
time I was here, I deliberately avoided it, and I believe so did the orcs.
So as though limbs are growing out the wrong place, or places they shouldn't.
I mean, it shouldn't exist in the first place, it or its freaky limbs. It looks bizarre.
It had like some massive claw,
To say that it
One
has
arm.
limbs growing out the wrong
but
places
the other was a tentacle.
implies it should have any in the right places, and it just doesn't look like it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
Limbs that don't belong.
Okay.
It wasn't carrying a shield, was it?
I give Parr a queer look.
Parr is literally just staring up into space like
Yeah.
this.
yeah. Parr is zoned the fuck
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, it's got Parr.
out.
I take his weapon.
You know such
It's
thing.
not quite the same. Those two, like their eyes properly glazed over.
He looks like he's seeing the horrors of his past.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was not carrying a shield.
So,
I say we just make our way out as quickly as possible.
I like that idea.
What about the orcs?
Don't care. Not for the time.
They're
being.
in there.
We didn't find
If
anything.
this creature is now along the path that they took, it doesn't seem that we are currently capable of fending it off. And maybe it would be better to try this again another day.
Maybe with all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
We've found some information, not solid, but anecdotal.
We know there are orcs in the mine.
And
We have reasonable evidence. They
we
are
are
in the middle of
certain
the
we are
mine.
certain they are here, and they are certainly going. Well, at least I would say they're going straight to the centre. Do you agree?
The tracks seem to indicate so. And I believe we all know that there's a
There's
Oh,
only
habitable
one. There's only
area.
one thing in the centre of this mine.
Yes. I really hope they're not there.
Hmm.
No, we're going that way.
Do they have legs?
It had, yes,
One leg, one tentacle.
Okay.
legs, not 2 legs,
Not-
just a lot of legs.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Okay. Yes. Let's.
It's just a ball of legs that just rolls towards you.
Let's. Yes. Let us
Think-
leave. And
Think like millipede, but all underneath it, just sort of.
Shouldn't we put it out of its misery?
No,
I think it might.
we're going that way.
Us out of our misery. But yeah.
We're going back the way we came.
I mean, I will be killing it at some point, but I don't think
Not
I'm very
today.
well prepared for
Not
it right
today.
now.
No, I think maybe now with this information we can maybe research it.
The problem is the orcs are still a threat to all the cities surrounding it until this thing decides to leave the mire. But it's between us and the orcs.
And them. Yes. Right.
What you guys do know of the mire, because people have said there are corrupted, like leyline corrupted creatures. So
Probably won't lie.
probably more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot. Cool. So you guys backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
GTFO.
GTFO.
Yup.
And
I
as
want
you
to see daylight again, no more pink.
you spend a couple of hours making your way back, and step out of the mire into dusk.
Is there like a constant light level when you're in there?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Can't tell what's day and what's night.
Cool.
You also said you were in there. You think for maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too early for it to be dusk.
How many days has it been?
Well, the trees have grown. It's 5 years in the future.
We didn't leave when there was snow.
Hello, I'm Darek. I'm an old man
Yeah.
now.
Shit, you're a halfling.
How old are you as a halfling though?
Yeah. It's definitely later than it should be if it's the same day.
Cool.
Do you think we could maybe make it to their original camp in time? As a place to set up for the night?
Was it a day and a half journey?
Day and a half journey
Oh,
to
never
their
mind
camp. So you've got 2.5 days to get back.
I think we
Find a reasonable place here to camp, right?
yes maybe spend an hour travelling and find somewhere reasonable along that. Just be away from.
That, yes, no, I 100% agree.
Cool.
We can do that.
Yeah, you guys will head out, and then over, let's suppose you'll make your way back. So it was 2 days, day and a half, which is 3.5, 7, plus another half a day. So you guys have spent 7.5 days there and back. Cool, right. Aegis,
Okay.
you went to research the library 7.5 days ago.
I didn't. I think that's what I said, didn't
Well, food, he's fucking dead.
I? Okay, what I said is
7.5, 3 years ago.
spending I'm going to spend the first 5 days
Uh-huh.
looking up various cures to various poisons that
Okay.
generally ones I don't recognise that I can get.
That's fine. Go make an investigation check. As you do some
No.
research.
I rolled a 4 plus 1, I think.
Cool. There is.
Oh, sorry, +4. I got an 8.
Okay.
It's still not much better.
It's not a massively high roll, but there is a lot on poisons in the Skylark library. Because
Australia.
first and foremost, they are paladins of peace. That is their thing. So knowing about poisons is
That's why I'm camping their library.
yeah. But
There's no need to bring a tent.
throughout your studies, you don't
Anti-chamber.
find anything new. It's all just sort of recounted information that you've already read. Sort of occasionally you find something you think is new, and then it's just talking about the same poison, but sort of it's worded in a different way, describes it slightly differently. You get the sense that you can find poisons that have variations on them, but
Okay.
you don't find any information about the particular poison you are looking for.
Yeah. Is there a difference between? Is there different ingredients for making anti-venom or anti-toxin and healing potions?
Yes.
Right, I'm making 2 healing potions.
Make
for
2
the
healing
next
potions. Cool. But you found some of the herb for, so they will cost less to make. So they normally cost 25 gold. So they'll cost 20 gold to make a healing potion.
Cool. So I've got 2 more healing potions.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Standard.
Yeah, just plain ones, just because they only take a day to do, and that's useful.
Yeah.
They are useful indeed.
And then, yeah, so I'm going to do that. And then on the last 2 days, I'm going to look up anyone who's got maps of the Myre or what the Myre used to be as well, or various
Cool.
information on it. Just because I was interested in that.
You
And they're
can
quite close.
you can find some old maps pretty easily. You find a map of the area when it used to be sort of the land of Red River Fortress, because it's an old. It was a human fort, one of the ones built when the war broke out, and they were once close allies with the Skylarks. But there is nothing mapping the Myre itself.
Nothing at all, not even like the first couple 100 metres in, even that's useful.
Nope.
Oh.
You don't think that's because the information's been hidden or accounted?
No,
It's just that
okay.
people don't want to go in there.
Oh, I'll do the old maps though, because they could be
Yeah,
something useful.
yeah. It's
There aren't enough pink pencils.
adventurers will go in there. Cartographers don't want to because they'll probably die rapidly.
Even some old adventurers maps might be useful.
They haven't mapped anything. There isn't anything there to map as such. There's no real landmarks or anything you
I was
can
wondering
use.
if there are like ruined towns and stuff still in there.
No, it's just big.
I mean, there's where the fort used to be. There are the old maps do have outlines of various villages and stuff that were once there. Whether they're still there, people they're very deep insight into the central parts. People have not gone looking, or if they haven't come back out.
Yeah, and
Cool.
I think it's my 9 days.
5 doing that, 2 doing that, 2 doing that. That's your 9 days. Cool. So when you're doing the exploration is when the others return. So I'll explain when you're looking through the maps. Darek.
I'm going to hit up the library
Yep.
and I'm going to do a week's worth of research. As the downtime talks about the research thing. So I'm spending 50 gold on materials, right, gifts, etc.
Page 133.
133. Perfect. Research. Okay. Okay, what are you researching?
The Myre.
The Myre. Cool.
I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up.
That's really
Sam's done a drawing.
It's like terrible
That's,
drawing.
that's pretty good, actually. That's
It's just like a big face up.
Yeah,
I can't
that's-
see all of it because it's shady.
okay. The only thing that would change is I suppose I didn't describe it very quick. There you go for people there. That's sort of what it looks like. The claw. I actually didn't say it's more like a giant crab claw that like a
I'm seeing prototype here.
yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is complete off the top of my head.
That's really good. That's
I know what it is.
terrifying.
Okay, so you are spending 50 gold on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because I'm a sage, I get advantage on this check. Is that the resolution?
Let's go with that. Sounds reasonable to me. So go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So make a intelligence check. It's a straight intelligence check, which you have jack of all trades to, because it's a check.
What was my next four traits? Two.
What's
One.
anything?
One
One.
proficiency. Oh,
One.
one. Yes.
Son of a cock.
A double Shamshir.
He returned.
You've done a double Shamshir.
There's now two of him because we went in the mire.
Yeah, oh god.
He just
Well,
splits
that's
you.
it.
You kept up the good work with the fire. So
Yeah.
somewhere wrong.
So that's 8. So I've learned. I learned one piece.
You
of
learn
lore.
one piece of lore about the
Was that
Myre.
a good
Is
spend
it
of
pink?
50?
Do I learn
No,
it's
it was
pink?
crazy when a leyline blew up.
You learn about a ranger that's been there.
What you learn is the actual like RGB code for the colour.
That's impressive. I don't even know what that code is. I might have to go check just
Oh,
for
like, I'm
anyway.
gonna make you one if you want.
What do you find? You don't find anything you don't already know.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's
There's
unfortunate.
there's nothing to add to source of magical fallout, leyline corruption, that sort of stuff. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Shame.
Cool.
One
Yeah.
At some point during your downtime, you will wake to a message in your journal.
Oh fuck. Yeah. Okay.
The message specifically says, "What have you found out about the child?"
Oh shit.
That was an easy secret. We were kill the boy. You in contact with Voldemort or something?
Set the town on fire. Do it.
No.
I wish. Voldemort's a lot less fucking scary. Cool. Speaking of the child, I'm going to spend my last 2 days just hanging out with the kid.
Cool. You hang out.
So I try and teach him some magic. I try and get him to teach me some. Don't laugh. I try and get him to teach me some magic. But what I'm mainly doing is I'm mainly just bigging up the purple helix, as in like, you know, where you get proper training. Purple helix, mate. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's where you
yeah.
get training.
Not too young for solicitation, are they?
No, I'm a salesman. I'm here to sell. I'm here to sell to get the most powerful magical child ever to join the magic guild, please.
Makes sense.
That's cool.
It's
I mean,
entirely
he's entertained by you, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But he just being around him, it does constantly just sort of set your teeth on edge. As he, you know, just regularly. He's powerful. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but he regularly uses his power for his own amusement.
He is only 5.
Yeah, he is only 5.
We need to kill this kid before he gets out of control.
Get a spray bottle of water just every time he does it.
Bad magical child.
No, I've got a better idea. It's a
Difference
child at the
between
bottom
children
step
and
of the
pets.
staircase with an anti-magic field, so when he has to go on the naughty step, he can't cast spells.
Knowing him, you probably can though.
Yeah, pretty much. Really fuck off powerful anti-magic field.
Who do you think made this step anti-magic?
The problem is though, he'll make it look like he's sitting on the step. He'll just be hovering just above it.
Bollocks.
Yeah.
Because he's that smart.
Well, I mean, he is the BBG, so.
The big.
So he's the final wash, yeah?
What day did that appear? That message?
Day 3.
Fuck. So I can't. I've probably got to reply before this. Right. Okay. I write back on day 4.
Okay.
the child is inherently magical, but I believe his magic is connected to the Myre and or the lagoon, the Leyline. I don't believe he's of any use if you take him off the island. Cannot confirm yet.
Cool. Good to know.
I can just see you cursing Liam.
Things like that response ready. Kick that out.
Do we make any sort of check on that? Even do I have to make a deception check for writing? Or
No,
is
you
that-
just just write it.
Okay, cool.
He knows your line.
Yeah, he knows I'm lying probably. As soon as I fucking touch the book, I'm fucking hell.
Before we start writing, no, he's going to lie to me.
Well, I mean, they are standing behind you.
I mean, what you don't know is the other end of the book actually goes to the
So I
book.
was about to say, it is Orlan's book, yeah.
During the you said the last couple of days with him, on one of those days, Orlan does show you a new spell he's worked out when he creates a doorway and then gives you a tour of a mansion.
Oh, come on!
Nice! Yeah. Boy!
So Mordecai's magnificent. Mate?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which is it is laid out like a child's dream playhouse.
Yeah, I'm like,
He's got the
this.
best
No,
playhouse
it's
ever.
probably fairly close to a halfling stream playhouse. It's about the same right there at height.
Well, that except it's got the things that would entertain a 5-year-old child.
How's halfling different?
Wait.
Wow.
Kill Aegis.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have it?
I mean, what?
Anything to say to him whilst he shows you around his magnificent mansion?
Should I consult the magical rock about this child? Should we tell the magical rock?
Oh
That's a great idea.
Descending stones.
Oh, God!
Hey man,
I forgot about that. I forgot about the fucking sending stone.
I need some consultation work.
Fuck no.
No, he's secretly going, oh, so you've met my son.
I'm going to try and get him to walk me through the process of how he learns, how he teaches himself new spells.
Okay.
I mean, I probably won't be able to understand it because it's him trying to describe how it's probably going to be difficult, and me trying to understand it, it's going to be fucking alien to me.
It boils down to he just thinks about what he wants to achieve, and
then
then
he can do it.
yeah, eventually he's just able to do it.
So he wanted the playroom. No, he hasn't.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted a room. He wanted a playroom that he could control and make filled with whatever he wanted, and he made it happen.
He wanted a bouncy castle ball pit with the size of a fucking mansion, and he got it.
That room is the best
Yeah,
house's ball
he
pit.
he wanted to be able to pick up objects without having to move to pick up objects. So he
Now it's
managed.
telekinetic.
And he wanted to make people do what he wanted them to do for the jokes, and he learned to do it.
I just keep going. Yeah, there are people who can cast. I'm like, this is a good spell. There are people who can cast better spells than this as Purple Helix. So they'll teach you how to cast even better spells.
Encouraging.
Just don't teach me any offensive ones, please.
that is the advantage right now.
Do you like Fire Kid?
Yeah, when he hits puberty, I want to kill everyone. So
Yeah.
The entire island's fucked.
It's when he turns into a teenager and he just wants to swear at his parents who will learn Bigby's hand just to do that.
See, that's
I'd be
how a
okay
city in the
with
middle of a
that.
lake burns down.
Yeah. Did I not say earlier it would be the kids?
And the thing is, we already know he's 5 going on 9. He's about to hit puberty when he's 7. So you've got 2 years, the Turquoise Lagoon is fucked.
We're all fucked.
You know you want to be able to summon meteors, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I want to destroy this town. Meteors.
And just
Sweet.
completely invulnerable to everything for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
want
but
to send to
in
God.
2 to 3 years' time, the Myre's going to get quite a lot bigger.
Do you want to leave a big, silent, deadly fart and then walk away and explode 10 minutes later? Yes! Delete telephone.
Oh dear.
You are food.
Cool. That is
I think
you.
he's going to learn wish soon.
Icarus.
Fuck. I'm more worried about him trying to ascend to godhood.
Or possibly start using 10th and 11th level spells.
Icarus spends his time reading the book because he's told me about this, and has taken one of your potions and he took one of the potions and attempted to work out what it is, which I actually will quickly ask.
It's primary component.
Primary component is Popeye.
It's pop.
You go and meet Icarus later. He is now a pig.
I'm just going to ask him because I can
It's made us Dean, it was Nicholas Dean.
easily contact him. Whilst we wait
I don't
for,
think we're going to get a response from him.
we might do. He said
He didn't say message.
I suspect.
yeah. If he doesn't respond after I've done this next bit, then
Yeah.
he doesn't. Then I'll do it myself.
next
Yeah. That's cool. So when you guys get back to town, speaking of said stone,
Why did you remind me?
It's in the bag of holding right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah, no one's holding it. Huh?
Oh, you've got bag of holding it.
Someone actually has to be holding it for it to receive a message. So if no one's holding it, nothing happens.
I was hoping to just get the answer machine.
A bag of holding.
Give it to answer.
Bag of
Nah.
holding is holding. It's a bag of holding.
Because you know when you're holding a sending stone, if there's no one at the other end, you know that you don't cast the spell.
Okay.
So that's that. That's nice and easy. Cool. Shade, when you get back to town, you get a message in your head from a voice you recognise, Valna Zilveranth, the cleric, the priestess who is organising
Oh,
your wedding.
right, yes.
And she has contacted you asking if you have a date in mind
Hook.
as of yet.
Do it on the full moon.
Full moon.
Alright. Wow. No secrets between married people.
Full moon, midnight mass. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. So you know what's going to... He'll
Or
turn into
midnight
wolf,
feast
the
or
child will
like-
turn into wolf. Fuck.
My legit
Tiger,
response is
sorry.
like, oh shit. Yes. Sorry, language. Nah, you don't care, dude. Does you?
Only 25 words.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
How?
I know where she does the service. It's fine.
That's cool. There's no response from her after that.
Busy. Sorry.
You
Sorry.
can
I've just
imagine
seen
that she's
some
just-
weird shit. I'm not with it.
You can imagine she's just in the temple going, ugh, really? Why this one?
Like, yes, speak to my fiance.
The fiance may well have been why you got asked.
Yeah, probably.
I was
We're both like, no, go speak to
the
my
way for you
fiance.
to get back to the
Yeah.
city before we speak to anything.
Okay, no response, so I will make the roll myself. Well, that's a shit roll.
Oh.
That's a
The
shit.
investigation rolls are going intelligence
Really
are
well.
really bad
really well
today.
today, yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking
so,
of, on the way back, right, I'm gonna talk to Shamshir,
okay.
or go up to
Oh,
Shamshir.
Uh-oh.
So, you seem to know a lot about these, well, whatever you described.
This thing.
You got a
Truthfully,
7.
no, I don't know a heck of a lot about
7.
them.
But aren't you part of the thing in Jofreim that kills them?
The Valorixim inhibitors.
Those words.
Yes.
The VI.
The VI. The VIs. You see this
That's
mask
the
I'm
just seen the
wearing?
message.
Only VIs get to wear this mask. That is true, yes I am.
And have you spoken to them about it?
I have, and they are looking into it. But truthfully, these kind of creatures aren't very commonplace.
But, so you don't know how they became that way?
No,
Face palming!
I would assume it has something to do with the
Why
Myre.
is it good? Can't help it.
Why does their origin concern you?
Well, if we know more about them, then we can deal with them, right?
I mean, I would certainly like to find a way that enables me not to paralyze in fear and have to be pulled away from it. If anything, learning how to safely defend ourselves from it first is certainly my objective. But yes, in the long run, it probably is wise to learn what's making them. It would be the worst possible outcome if someone could weaponize these creatures.
Did this happen to you last time you saw them then?
It didn't. No, I suppose I got too close this time, or was caught unaware.
I think last time you were forced to turn around and walk away from it, but you had just made the decision you didn't want to be there.
So, like neatly aligned up with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, you know.
How audible are you having this conversation right now?
I'm not hiding the conversation.
Yeah.
I've just walked up to
So,
Shamshir and wherever we're camping or, you know,
Yeah.
Okay.
Jump in if people want to join.
round the fire.
May I add something? Because I think I can partially answer one of your questions.
Oh.
The weird thing was probably once a person. Probably once a soldier.
How do you know?
Because it's next to a fort. Like, yeah. What
Probably
makes you-
once a dwarf.
Have you?
Maybe once a dwarf, maybe once an elf.
Oh, which one?
Yeah, let's go on to that in a second.
You've experienced this. You've experienced this before.
Well, okay. There's a reason I don't want to go back into that mire. There's a reason I don't ever want to step foot in that general direction for the rest of my life. Because I was there once. I was in that fortress.
Insight?
Go ahead and make an insight check. Yeah, go ahead and make an insight check. Everyone wants to make an insight check.
No.
Also check for fear.
What's a check for fear?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
Wisdom
right,
saving
yeah.
throw.
But still,
Um,
9.
Okay.
Parr first, but you can make your choice of, because it's for you to decide, deception, persuasion, or charisma save.
Oh my god!
Give me 1 second. That's a stunt roll
Wow.
right there. Wow.
It deserves to be 20.
I don't
Unfortunately, it's a
think
fail.
the cameras pick that up. If you're able to, move the bottles, hopefully without disturbing it.
Now, only if I rolled a 1,
It's not
but it's
against
bounced
it.
off the tray and landed neatly on
Yeah.
the edge.
But
How?
It did it.
but-
It did it without bouncing off the bottles. It just
Yeah.
landed
It
on the
was-
edge
yeah,
of
it
the
didn't
tray.
bounce
That
off
is
the bottle.
fantastic.
The roll isn't, but
No,
you know.
no, placement.
That was also a persuasion roll, because I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's up to you to believe me or not.
What was it?
I got a 10.
I got
Yeah.
I rolled a 1, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Oh.
Sorry, so
Well,
what did
it
you
does
say?
because
You
it's
said
contested.
you were in there.
I was at that fortress, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's true.
And
But I think
So
you
it's a
could
grand
be.
total of 2,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He got 2. You guys. Yeah. He's telling the truth.
So what do you mean it could be a dwarf?
This one?
Well, as in, okay, so. You know why the war ended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That was ground zero. That caused the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
That was the final battle. We were all involved in it. We had to take that fucking fortress. And the amount of magic going around, evidently this leyline thing had something to do with it, but basically it all went to shit and it all started to sort of slowly explode.
And then there was a giant purple cloud.
Right, and the purple cloud, once that touched people, they turned into what you saw.
So you've seen that before then?
Yes. Hence why I asked if it was holding a shield, because I saw my former squad mates turn into them.
That's pretty messed up. I see why.
Sorry you had to
Yeah.
see that.
I'm surprised you don't have the background for the horrified one. The haunted one, that's the one.
That's
So why didn't we turn into them?
I guess because the pink mist thing is diluted enough, I'm not sure.
Well,
There's-
from where I was standing, it certainly didn't cover the whole area in.
There's also the pink mist you saw. You saw actual mist, like the slow rolling mist, pink mist with these white sparkles inside it. You guys didn't see anything that looked anything like mist. It was just this weird pink hue.
Haze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, as soon as it starts looking more like a small cloud with like white twinkly bits in it, that's when you really need
So
to
you
get
said
worried.
there's a fortress in the middle.
Yeah,
Well, that's evidently where the orcs are.
I hope not, but probably.
And
And maybe your fellow.
Oh, whatever mess is
Whatever.
left. So they're not going to recognize me.
like you said, parts grew out of them.
Yes. They turned completely malformed.
He's just looking so smug.
Yeah.
How did you get out?
Well, you remember last council meeting I said I spent a grand total of about 20 minutes in another plane?
Oh.
We were literally trapped sort of rock and a hard place between the pink mist and what was on the other side? I don't remember. Something nasty that was going to kill us. My cleric that we had on the squad had nabbed the tuning fork, I think she said, that sent us to the plane and then sent us back again.
But from whom did you get a tuning fork?
Oh, it was one of the elves we killed in the fortress.
You don't still have it, do you?
No.
That's a shame.
That'd be too easy, right?
Wouldn't it just?
Hmm.
They are very expensive.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys can understand why I'm not forthright with this information. Because the last thing I want is all the local townsfolk going, oh, that giant pink cloud is your fault.
Completely
Yeah.
understandable.
One of our fears.
Point of interest for all of you, as far as any of the records have said, no one survived the Myre.
Oh.
No one survived.
You've kept that
What
one under
happened to
wraps
your other
quite well.
colleagues? I can't remember. I thought you might have told us in the council meeting.
No.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
fair
the
enough.
first he spoke of it.
Yeah.
Is his real name no one?
There is also Parr, some other things. I don't know if you're excluding them because of choice or because you've forgotten.
Probably the latter.
Cool. When the cleric used the tuning fork to get back because the other plane turned out to be extremely hostile.
Some idiot picked a flower.
Yeah.
That's you member of the team over there.
Victor Ross is cutting you off.
Something very strange happened because the cleric attempted to send you back to the original encampment. You hit a pink hue and got shunted. And then when you arrived, you were outside the area of effect, as it were, and your cleric had like their brain dripping
Yes.
from their
that's
face.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. AKA, you cannot plane shift into the Myre.
You can, but it's just
It
very,
will
very.
kill you.
Yes.
Well, they didn't end
No,
up
'cause
in
it
the
bounced-
Myre.
it
Yeah, bounced them
out. We
outside of
literally
it.
Too much magic.
I guess it got you out safely then.
Yeah.
It's been like,
It's got some weird built-in safety
it's like,
feature.
it's like saying that's like the positive side of being thrown out of a car because you didn't put your seatbelt on. It's like-
Yeah, getting thrown out of the windscreen rather than going off the side of the
Yeah.
bridge of the
1950
car.
safety logic, yes.
And the other thing that you when you arrived back again and before realizing your cleric had their brains dripping out, you glanced towards the fortress.
Yes, and saw it all sort of.
You were able to you were able to see the fallout. You were also able to see sort of figures semi melted or merged with the stonework, and like the stone itself had grown tentacles and things like that. And there was no way it was the tentacles were moving in the air.
Your hesitation in attempting this venture is completely understandable. I assume you would like us to keep this amongst ourselves.
Absolutely.
Well,
This is in the strictest of confidence.
I can keep that secret.
Thank you.
So it shall be.
How can I tell my man in the book about this?
Should we come in with us?
Can others be affected by this?
I would assume so.
Given that orc was, I would say, probably.
Given at the time it affected humans, dwarves, and elves. I don't know if there were any halflings present.
And why are the orcs choosing to use that base as their operation then? Especially if it's so hostile to
It's
all
ground
kinds of
zero. I
life.
don't know how they can survive there.
Maybe they have some sort of resistance to it. They don't look good as they are. Maybe they can blend in.
Really should have researched the orcs.
Should have already got it.
Actually, what I intended to originally have.
Rip.
Yeah, well, there'll be more.
Maybe they're wearing rose
And
tinted
all of the orcs were marching in specific formation into the footsteps of one another with perfect alignment.
Perhaps they're being controlled.
Or commanded, at least. Controlling that many creatures would be... Well... I mean...
Perhaps they're all very mutated.
Sentient castle.
Sentient castle? No, you're not here.
No.
But fucking hell. That's fucking terrifying.
His face is really
I mean,
worried.
it kind of is.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm just enjoying this.
Of course you are.
The problem is, we don't know if he's just going to decide, I like that idea, I'm stealing that.
I know. I've got my
That's
idea.
exactly what you should do. Well then, next time we attempt this venture, maybe we'll get you to fill us in with a few more details, because I've never personally visited Fort.
Well, I mean, I can.
Didn't you? I thought you were meant to be allies with the people.
Doesn't mean I went there.
You're also still not here.
I was just
Personally,
wondering out of curiosity.
I'll be able to remember the layout of the fortress, assuming it's still the same. Assuming it's still the same, because I have a horrible feeling that much magic.
You make a very good point.
Because this is the other thing. When we came back from the other plane, which I guess was the Feywild, now that I've learned that, it didn't, so we tried to go back to our original encampment, which at this point is there in the mist somewhere. And so it moved us however many miles out on top of a hill where we got to see the whole thing, and there were people literally fusing with the stonework in the fortress. This is part of the reason why I really hope those orcs are not in that fortress, because the fortress itself will be probably trying to eat them. And if they've learned to live with it somehow, that's terrifying.
It's a giant mimic.
I'm not against anything really, eating orcs, but I'm worried they would choose to walk into lion's mouth.
And then be able to walk out of it again in rank and file fucking formation. I mean, an orc warband is scary enough when it's just running at you, but the idea of one being disciplined and trained that doesn't run away when you kill 5 of them.
What happened to the elves? Did you see them change?
Yeah, all of them. So every weird tentacle thing we come across, once a human, once an elf, once a dwarf.
No longer any of the above.
Exactly.
Did you see what caused the tipping point? What triggered that pink wave to actually start?
I don't think I did I?
You didn't see it.
No,
All
it
you
just sort of started seeping out the wall.
yes.
Wasn't me.
Prior to that, you received a message in your head, but at the same time, so did your compatriots. You all received the same message simultaneously. Of I think something along the lines of
Tree.
It would be so funny if
Hang on.
message is the spell that tipped it over the edge, really fucking low level shit.
Or one eldritch blast.
I love the colour pink.
Oh! Fuck! I'd never done that before.
What's a pink spell? What spell is
Colour spray.
Prismatic spray.
You mentioned
It was Omaradin Get Out.
Okay, yeah.
That's the dwarf god, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
that was the last thing you and your compatriots heard before the mist appeared.
No, I don't know the source of the
I was about to ask.
font, the eruption.
Who was it that spoke to you?
one of the higher up clerics with the sending spell.
Okay.
It was just very strange that it sent to multiple people at the same time.
Just sort of started seeping out the walls, as it were.
Was this before or after the pink mist started?
As
Which one? That was as, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was brave of you to return to such a traumatic site. But still, we may have to go back again.
Can you still your resolve?
Well, I'm going to have to try, aren't I?
I suppose, you know, to get over it, you kind of have to face your fears.
There is truth in that.
And you won't be alone. You'll be with us.
And there is truth in that.
You know, as long as we've got each other's backs.
Really worried about the magic users going into the magic field.
I'm slightly worried about some of the magic users, though.
Yeah.
One of them literally turns his face
spells,
into like glowy feathers that they all smell. He's perfectly suited for this.
Yes.
Wizard.
Yeah. You already know as the magic users casting a spell inside the Myre, it becomes more powerful but has potential drawbacks.
Ooh, on a plot.
So
Go
A
wild
giant
magic.
plant pot that eats everyone.
Yeah, he rolls on the wild magic table, gets the plant pot, but everyone turns into a plant pot.
Everyone
Oh,
else
no,
turns
not
into
again.
No, you'll turn into
Don't
those,
touch all
those
that.
actual the eating plants.
Yeah. Kind of reform.
Just your left knee turns into a plant pot.
Cool.
Got plant pig leg.
You become a Lego man.
all good with that conversation? All spoken out?
I loved it.
Okay. So you all eventually regroup one evening, the 14th, 15th. You regroup the 15th back in the Skylark residence.
So it has only been 7.5 days.
9 days.
Well, over 9 days. Is there anything the party went out want to do with that last day and a half?
I want to go to the temple and see if one of them will identify that shield that we found, because I do not trust random shields that you find in massacre sites.
That's cool. They can't because they don't have the identify spell. But you can easily find there will be a wizard who have the
Yeah.
identify spell. It's just a +1 shield. There's
Cool,
nothing,
Awesome.
as far as they can tell. There's nothing funky about it.
Awesome.
As far as they can tell.
Huh?
What did Icarus get?
That's right. Yeah, because he actually did his roll. So I never actually announced the roll I made. Icarus gets to use his roll. He actually rolled an 18
Oh, nice.
to identify that potion, or to attempt to.
Whatever it is.
It's not difficult. Sorry, it's not easy to identify. It's incredibly difficult to work out because it is essentially he's attempting to reverse combining ingredients to make a potion and split them out into their own things. So he doesn't work out how to fully create it. He gets he reckons about 60-70% of the ingredients needed.
Still good.
Yes, it's a decent amount, but not enough to recreate the same potion.
Blender dryad.
No.
Not shake it.
Is it a puree yet?
Yeah.
It's not really a
No,
potion.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you might know, but I don't know.
The primary ingredient he works out is Lunaren.
Spell it how you like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like something to do with the moon.
Yes, it is a flower that blossoms under a full moon.
Yeah, funny that.
Shock.
In the same way that you also blossom.
Shocking.
The same way your child will also blossom.
No.
You mean his litter?
Has the baby been kicking more during the full moon?
Oh, man, I feel
Scratching.
sorry for her.
Sorry.
I realised I fucked with two people's kids. Oops. That's taking me a little too long to realise.
Yo, I didn't even know about this. He already had that kid planned, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't.
He had the kid plan. He didn't have the insane magical power.
I'm fine with
That was me.
I'm looking to find out what fucked up with Throndraek's mysterious kid that he doesn't even know about yet.
Well,
That's
so
gonna
you
be
know what's
fucking
going to
epic.
happen? The theme of this is going to be kids, right? Everyone's going to end up finding they've got a child. They're all really fucked.
And then we all die and we all start playing as the kids.
Yeah. That's like
No,
season 3.
No one is playing as Orlan.
Oh.
I'm broadening that out.
That's because he's the Bebek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other kids
I
have
mean,
to go
I'm
back
going
eventually.
to Skylark Famaru.
Yep.
So that's all he gets, yeah?
Yeah, that's the main thing. He works out the ingredients so he can, if he manages to get the remaining 30%, he can make the potion. But he does identify the primary ingredient. Cool. Yeah. So you're going to the residence and you're doing a thing.
Masturbate.
Well, yeah, I'm just
Seriously.
finding
Checking himself for all.
wife Skylark
Oh, yeah.
and brother Skylark
Yep.
/ brother wife Skylark.
And getting old.
Ruthden, Holly, and Lorette.
Those ones.
Yep.
Yeah, you remember the names, right?
I don't fucking remember the names.
Cool. You find them, they're not difficult to find.
Alright, cool. Are they all together? Are they...
Ruthden and Holly are together. Lorette is... Actually, on these times, because Darek is looking after the kid, they might all be together, yeah. Because Darek has been left with the kid. He's entertaining the kid. Or rather, the kid is entertaining Darek.
we don't know where Darek is, like...
Yeah, I don't know where Darek's gone.
He's in a door. Okay.
Yeah.
He's in a
It's
pocket
like the
dimension.
crazy situation where the kid has lured the stranger into their
The
It's
panel
not
house.
Home Alone.
Yeah.
Orlan's got some fucking amazing sweets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna... like, walk in...
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a bit, like, kind of... not making eye contact.
Yep.
And, yeah, I just went, hello, my lord.
Ruthden is like, Throndraek, right? I remember. What can I do for you?
Well, I just wanted to apologise for the outburst at the Orlan's birthday.
It's fine. No farm, no how. No harm, no foul.
No farm, no how.
So close.
You were doing so well.
That's a great one.
That's like the first one, though.
No farm, no how. That sounds like a title to something.
Well, no farm, no how. It's Wells, isn't it? Like, there's no farm, so no howling.
It means there are no rules. It's in the farmyard. It's great.
It wasn't actually any
it's
flub in
insane.
it.
Like,
It
yeah,
just
just
sounded
like
like he was
you said
meant to
for
say it like
Wells.
that.
No farm, no how. That's fantastic.
Werewolf safety.
Yeah.
Werewolf safety 101.
No,
The dangers of farming.
no harm, no foul. Orlan likes his jokes, but not everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, just where I'm from, magic is hostile.
That's fair. You do adventure, I imagine you encounter a fair few hostile spellcasters.
Thank you for letting me use your library.
Pleasure.
I didn't find what I was looking for, but hopefully I'll find it somewhere.
Hopefully you do.
Well, thank you. And I'll just walk out.
Sure. Just, anyone else doing
Whilst
anything?
in town, I want to
Yep.
buy a fishing rod and some bait.
We've got a magical fish from the lagoon. Rainbow fish.
Do-be-do-be-do.
Rainbow trout. Because I had to use a fish.
Fishing tackle is a gold piece,
Done.
and we'll call buy however much worth of bait you want to have.
Yeah.
It's probably like a copper piece, a bit of bait. So, or like no, probably I'll probably say a copper for like 10 bits of bait. I'll say that.
So if I buy a gold's worth of bait.
That's fuck
1,000
me.
bait.
A
That's a
1,000 bits of bait.
Okay, not that much.
Sorry, I thought the tackle is like the actual bait bit for the rod.
It's just got fishing tackle. That's literally all it has. in the thing doesn't have a fishing rod, unless it's just called a rod, but that would be very strange. But I'll double check.
What a lordly mind put a fishing lure on the end.
No, it just says fishing tackle, but.
Assume it's the same thing.
Oh yeah, this kit includes a wooden rod, silken line, corkwood bobbers, steel hooks, lead sinkers, velvet lures, and narrow netting.
There we
So it's got velvet lures. It's got lures already.
Cool.
So you can fly
Perfect.
fish.
It has all of the
Fishing
things.
supplies.
Cool. Anyone else doing anything else? Or are we all good?
Yes. I'd like to speak to Shamshir in private.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk to Shamshir.
Because you've not
So
been here
involved.
for
You ain't been here for ages, dude.
He's been trying to do this for the last month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shamshir, do you mind if I have a conversation with me?
You're thinking of killing the kid too, right?
No. Yeah, the monster,
Okay.
alright?
Okay. Forget I said that.
Oh, I just forgot something. What did that mind trick you do?
Oh,
No.
What a fun memory.
I know, obviously, you hunt monsters.
That is correct.
Do you always have to kill them, or just knock them out? And, show them to Valor... Is it Valor?
Valorexin inhibithis.
Valorexin.
Valorexin inhibithis.
Valorexin inhibithis.
Fuck you, it's my words.
Depends on discretion of the hunter at the time. Some monsters are only dangerous and threatening the area around them due to certain situations that they are in at that moment in time, but plenty could be learned from them if they are not killed.
Okay.
The Valorexin inhibitors are also more widely known, though, for, you are correct in thinking, the people you would ask to kill monsters. So I could understand where that misconception might arise.
Understandable. We know some about you, but not too much, because obviously we're both secret societies. Anyway, I have an issue that I might be a monster myself.
Well, we've all made mistakes, but I think you're being a little bit harsh on yourself there.
Yeah, there's a problem with that. And a few nights ago, actually, I don't know, it would have been ages. How long now?
2 weeks.
God, it would have been a while now.
14 days.
Just shy of 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago, under the full moon,
Actually, it might be 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
I kind of took on a different form.
No.
And dagger.
Yeah. He's he probably is scratching and reaching, not reaching to instantly try to kill you, but I see.
And I presume you know what I'm talking about. You've probably hunted them before.
I mean, I'm hoping that I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, let's just call it that I'm probably inflicted with the curse of lycanthropy.
Someone getting sharpshooted.
Yeah.
Right, roll
That
5
is
and
so-
raise between the eyes.
Where's Shade?
Who's Shade?
That's right, we'll roll a 5 and
They
base, it's
were
fine.
made into a lycanthrope. Lycanthrope.
Lycanthrope.
Fun.
We just need a dog.
You start saying TTFA.
From what I remember and what I've been told, yes, that it was inflicted upon me. And I have a remedy that should suppress it for a while, but I only have 3 potions. After that, I might lose control. I just don't want you to freak out or kill me. And I'd rather you try and knock me out, dealing with the fact that you deal with monsters anyway.
Before I joined the Valorexin inhibitors, before I joined the Errant Guard, and before I left Ashriat, I have had unfortunate run-ins with shapeshifters, with, more accurately, lycanthropes,
Which types?
werewolves at the time.
Just be thankful.
They-
Thankful I'm not a werewolf, but the form is some form of were-tiger.
What was done to the people that I considered my squad mates and my friends at the time, I will unreservedly despise and hate those that chose to become lycanthropes voluntarily. And I'm glad that you told me, and I believe you when you say that you are afflicted with this. Because knowing this now, I will do my utmost to restrain you and to stop you. But before, I would have undoubtedly tried to kill you.
Good call. Good call. Can you just miss like 1 or 2 more sessions?
Yeah, man.
Session time on.
No, if it ended up going too far, then I would have just had to message you because,
Quality brilliant.
And I deeply respect that you chose to tell me this. And I'm thankful because I considered you my friend in this group.
Likewise. I feel like, you'd be the best to deal with this. Currently 3 other members know from the party. Those would be, well, not 3. Yeah, no, 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah, because I told him, but I didn't. Parr, Darek, and Icarus know. Hence why Icarus is looking into this potion for me. But they've been told that they could potentially try and master, like, the curse as such, and control it more, rather than just running wild and killing everything I see. And I've already been able to use some of its power.
Your final decision as to what you do with this affliction is entirely up to you. I won't try to sway your decision in any way with my bias. But perhaps it would be a good idea to tell the rest of the group that you have told me as well, or in the same manner, especially if you are running low on the suppressant. It would be an unfortunate surprise to have you transform unknowingly in the middle of the night.
I agree.
It was.
Hey man, I didn't even fucking expect it. I will.
Do you know how or when you were afflicted?
I know how. I can't unfortunately share. I might get in some serious trouble for that. I don't want to piss the person off or group. I have a rough idea of when, but the first kind of transformations are blurry.
And when you say you do not want to piss them off, you say that as if you have some kind of debt to them?
No debt. It's not mine to say how or who afflicted it.
So be
And
it.
to be honest, even me saying this now might be too much.
So be it. Keep your secret.
Make sure it isn't my fault.
I'd like to, but I can't even. I can't say anymore.
You have already said enough. And as I said, I'm thankful for it.
It's good to know you won't kill me as well, so I'm thankful for that.
Well, I shan't be treating you any differently. We were drinking buddies before in the city of Jofreim. We shall continue to be drinking buddies here.
Sure.
Speaking of which, it is after 1.
After 1 in
Cool.
the morning. We never stop drinking.
It's always after 1.
It's always after 12
Yeah.
somewhere.
It's really after 5.
Doesn't matter. It's
Cool.
always after that.
I could definitely use a drink after what I saw.
It's a pink cocktail.
Grapefruit cocktails go.
Strawberry curry.
Freak the fuck out.
Don't shit away from me.
Cool. You guys, you go get a drink. Anyone else doing anything?
So pink is like cucumbers to cats to you.
Cool. Anything being done with the stone? Any conversation being had?
Nope.
Cool. It's remaining in the bag of holding.
It's basically been forgotten at this point.
Well, the talkie stone.
Yeah.
Well, they've not forgotten, but let's not reveal his house to the very trustworthy magician.
Name isn't real.
Hasn't been enough betrayal for 1 week.
Cool. So you guys are all done with your stuff, yes?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the night of the 15th, you'll have a meal, head to bed to rest up for the start of the celebrations the next day, and that's where we're going to end this session. So cool. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed. As far as I'm aware, with any luck, we should be back next week with the full 9 group.
Maybe.
Maybe. I imagine something will happen to stop it again.
I mean, you'll all go down with plague or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Just this side of the
Oh,
table.
thanks.
You just cursed us, I think.
But Pink's missed.
those of you still
I
watching,
didn't roll
please
so
go check
We're
out.
in range of a paladin, so we get healed. We get extra bonus on saving throw.
Go check out our Patreon. There's a link in the description, as well as on our social media, our Twitch channel, and our monthly podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the usual things. Click the bell for the notifications, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Remember, no farm, no howl.